So, we've been doing this startup, and I thought it will be a great thing that I start documenting maybe every few days or every day, maybe every 5 days or 7 days, what we are doing, how is the startup doing, what kind of decisions I'm making. And this is not for, of course, I'm just documenting it so that next time when I do it, I do not make the same mistakes, whether they are emotional, hiring, or tech decisions, or customers, or things like that. So I want to document the whole journey in bits and pieces, not every day, because then it's not a startup. What we're doing is just fun and games. There's my tea. So, uh, so journey so far. Varun, me, and Shubham, three people have been working on a startup, which is related to solving your visa queries using AI-based solutions. So that's our thing. We are working on making the database, and it's a very tedious task that you have to ask people, you have to reach out to them, and then generate proprietary content. So that's one thing that you need to do, and that's sort of really tough. Like, it's not that easy, right? And so that's one part. Then the next part that you need to do is, the front end is easy. The back end is what Shubham and I are working on right now. So we're going to make the database. We have to crunch it. So what people I think do not realize is it's not so easy to make a startup, because you do not have the time to dedicate to it. We do have the time to dedicate to it. We are doing our best, whatever we can, all three of us. The thing is, and we do believe in the idea because we've seen it running. We do have the distribution required for the startup. We already have like 300,000, 400,000 people, so it's not a big deal. The thing is, the main thing is what and how. Like, with the money you have less money, right? At the start, we don't have a lot of money on our own end. So how do you use those resources to create MVP, to validate, okay, this thing works, and we are sort of validated because we know the idea exists, the problem exists, and we know the idea can solve it. But how do you bring all of it together? In a case class or in an MBA class, it's an easy thing, right? Like, you will get, this is what you have to do, this is what you do, and it's like you use some certain case frameworks or whatever. I've used them to give my BCG interviews and all, so I know how they have been. Or even for IBM and A, like, when we look at the nitty gritty details, I was working in private equity myself. I was like, okay, I can use these levers to move things a bit, and how can it help? So it is not the same. This is the first thing I want to document today, because I don't want to be like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into the future. Oh, this is my parents' home. It's not a vlog, but still I am documenting everything because it's sort of a live documentation then. So this is what it shows, right? So what the problem we face is simply money constraints, in the sense that now we have to do, as a startup founder, it's my job to, and as the CEO, my job to arrange the funding, my job to figure out how customers are gonna be acquired and things like that, and hiring, things like that, get an intern or do it ourselves. So right now, Shubham and I code. Varun works on the distribution end, on the marketing and the product end, so he's handling those hats, and I'm handling the finance operations bit. Shubham is purely handling tech and maybe UI UX and customer bit. So even though, and it's not the first time we are doing it, like, we have, Shubham and I have been doing these startups for like 8 years now. We have been doing so many things. 9 years, 8 years we've been doing that. 2 of them we launched in Paris, one in India. None of them worked out. We even had paying customers and all, but they did not work out so well. So we're betting on this idea. And why is the idea great? Because that's my tea. So, fuck. Okay. So so today when come on, tea. One sec. Yeah. So to set it to low standard, low fuel supply, good. On the side, I do interact with Yashvi, so I'm also figuring out stuff on her end and things like that, to do certain things and build certain things. So today, let's just talk about today and not what has happened in the past. Startups, M&A, PE, just a whole bunch of journey in AI. We've done a lot together. So this time, today's decisions are very simple. We are trying to figure out to make the database, but we have to make it such that it's not so big that we have to incur cost on AWS. Okay, now we can run it on our own devices, but then there's a problem. if you run it on your own device, you need to have such a strong internet connection and sort of what data center does, right? You're now handling AWS task, which is keeping your computer on 24/7. That's a task. It's not like it happens by magic. And you need to keep your computer on in a reliable fashion with the internet so that people can access it. And let's say there's an overload. And what's an overload? Overload is not 1 million customers. Overload could be just 1,000 customers, because your data cannot handle. And what happens if it goes down? Even for an hour or half an hour or whatever happens, your battery runs out, things like that. If your server is down, your customers will lose trust. And trust is everything in any business, right? Trust is everything for investors, for customers, for anybody. Trust is everything. So today we have to make this hard choice. So if we take AWS, we have to spend money. If we spend money, we cannot spend it somewhere else, right? It could be marketing, it could be running ads, it could be trying to just, I don't know. For now, what we have planned is marketing. We have planned our development, so product development, we're doing it ourselves. But still, maybe we'll pay very less money, maybe 100, 200 euros to a consultant person, UX, UI person, so that they can have a look and recommend us if we can make it better, because it's all about the customer journey. And the customer journey, not to just get the value we're giving, but also to what, so tech end will be great. Like we'll be giving you great answers, we'll be giving you great things, and the value on that end will be great. But will that just satisfy you? You need a great customer journey so that it's seamless for the other guy. The attention span is less these days, so you have to afford that. So yes, so this is the decision I have to take today. What is the database size I get built? How do I store it so that RAG gets built? How much big it could be? So we are not OpenAI. We cannot have, and by the way, when we first started building AI-based startups, our second startup was 2022 when they had just opened up. So now it's 2025. GPT-5 has been launched like recently. So the thing is, we do not have their capabilities in the sense that we cannot have all of our data stored. It's easy to generate a lot of data and to try compress it through n number of ways, vector clouds, whatever. But you have to keep it minimal so that your services are faster. First, we don't have the same resource base, right? We cannot do parallel threading because we have simply one laptop. We cannot run two different servers and mix and match things. So these cannot be done. We cannot optimize cost that way. And cost optimization is important right now because whatever queries even our customers run come on our head right now, right? Like if you run one query, two queries, or if you just keep, you're gonna ask at least 10 questions. Everybody does that because it's such a sensitive issue, or just exploring things, right? So once you're doing it, you are costing me tokens. And I cannot set a very hard limit. Okay, you can just get me 100, 200 tokens. Maybe I should read some paper so that I can do away with this token thing. So, and on that end, the decision that I need to make is, do we, that is what we are doing also. We are trying to make our in-house LLM. So we are downloading these smaller models. I don't know, using Llama. I think we are downloading, right now we're just in between searching for things, because once we do that, it takes about 176 GB if you download simple DeepSeek, and we cannot use DeepSeek because of privacy concerns, this and that. So the smallest models, if you make it very small, the answers will be bad. This is something Shubham and I have done before. So we cannot do that. If you make it very big, and we do not have the resources for that, right? So it has to be hosted on my laptop or somebody else's laptop. So once we do that, a lot of laptop space is gone in that. So, and your device has to, it gets heated up. There are n number of things that happen if you run stuff like that. So we have to figure out ways, maybe collect scrap CPUs or hard disks and GPUs, maybe some old storage technologies that people are willing to sell for cheap somewhere, so that I can have that LLM on board. I can also have the database on board, and I have to make them interact fast in a way that I can deliver you answer in like 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds maximum, and then later develop. So our vision is to develop later voice capabilities and then expand it into a whole travel segment thing. So There's the API that we'll need to interact with in the future. So how do you do that? How do you anonymize data? I mean, the data we are dealing with is sensitive, so you have to anonymize it in a lot of ways. You cannot just store it. You have to have the security for it. So these are the decisions. So today, two things. One, I'm working on the front end, so I'm coding that. Hopefully it turns out well. It's a web app right now. It's not an app like a mobile app. It's a web app, simple website, where web app in the sense you have a service, you have something on the back end, you send whatever query you send, comes to us, we anonymize it, and then send that to our LLM. The LLM goes to the database to use whatever technology. Maybe it uses RAG, or I think that's gonna be slower in the future, so we're going to use something else so that it's faster once we have some pre-seed money, because we cannot keep fine-tuning our database all the time, because we don't have the compute power or resources to do it. It takes literally 10 days to do that for a small model, and last time we did it back in 2022, it took 2 days of constant training. I mean, with our laptop RAMs or whatever we have, GPUs, it's not worth it. It's just gaming laptop. So, and GPUs for now, at least in 2025, are very expensive, so we can't do that. So yep, front end today, back end, gotta talk to Varun about these are the improvements. He has to design the user workflows today, workflow, how it flows, how the user sees everything. Then we're gonna figure out how to reach out to the users when, and maybe I should have to get some initial customer traction, see if it works, so that then we can fund it as a business and I can try and raise money. So yep, that's today. Okay, see you later. Take care.